Hi there folks, and welcome back to Getting Started with Laravel. In the previous videos we had a look at Laravel from a starter's point of view. Now in the last couple of videos we're going to use all that we've learned to build a simple blog. You know, just to get a feel for how all these separate classes and services work together. Our blog will have an admin panel that requires logging in. You'll be able to create, update and delete posts to your heart's content. You'll be using resources, forms and validation. And of course our blog will have a front end. Now I've completely emptied out our project folder, so we have a fresh start. Now, if things go too fast for you, don't worry. Just pause the video or play it back a little bit. The important thing here is to get a feel for the workflow of creating a Laravel project. Now if you prefer to watch instead of code along, I suggest you build your own project afterwards. Are you ready? Here we go. Well, the first thing to do is cd into my site folder. Okay, let's start by creating a Laravel project. Now I've completely removed the old Laravel project, so let's just create a new project in that same folder. We'll do composer create project, and of course we'll use the Laravel package. And let's just name that project Laravel. Okay, let that run for a few seconds. Okay, let's open up composer.json and add our generators package and our faker package. So that will be way generators 2.star. And fzaninato faker 1.5 at dev. And now that our composer.json is complete, let's go back to the terminal, cd into our project folder, and run composer updates. Okay, so now that these two packages have been brought in, let's do just a little bit of configuration, shall we? The first thing I would like to do is add the generator service provider to our app.php. So we'll go into config, open up app, scroll down to the service provider array, and then at the end we'll just add way generators service provider. Okay, so now we can actually use those generators. Next thing is to specify our environment. So I'll just open up the terminal and type hostname. Make sure I copy it. I'll go into Bootstrap, start, and I'll just add that name to our local array like so. Okay, cool. So now we can set up our database. Open up your app config local folder. Remember, we're in local environment now. And then what we need is database.php. I'll just quickly set up my database credentials here. Well, my database is called Laravel blog, username Joost van Veen, and my password Tuts+. We don't need this, let's just get rid of it. And close that out. Cool, so now I think that's all for our setup. Let's just start with the preparations for the admin panel, right? Cool, so let's set up our post resource first. And to do so, I'll just go back to the terminal. Okay, to generate a post resource, I'll type php artisan generate : and then I can do resource. Now this will create database migration, a resource controller, some views to go along with that, and if I want to, some seeding as well. So that's generate resource, but I can also do generate scaffold, which is, well, basically the same, only it adds some more boilerplate code to your resource controller, which is great, so let's go with that. Okay, of course we need to pass in the name of our resource, which is post, and then we'll have to add some fields as well. Well, we want our post to have a title with a type of string, then maybe a body with a type of text, and if we want to link any users to our post, we'll need something like a user_ID, and that will be an integer, and it will need to be unsigned. And you know what? That's all. Let's run this. Okay, so now the generator will ask us what to do. Do we want to create a post model? Well, I think so. Create views for this post resource? Well, yes please. And notice that the generator provides excellent feedback about what it's creating, right? So do we want a controller? Well, of course. A migration? Yes please. And a post table seeder? Well, I think that would come in handy, so let's just say yes to that as well. But we don't need to run any migrations just now, so no here. Okay, and now we're prompted to not forget to add this route, so let's do that right away. I'll just copy it and go back to routes.php, which is over here. And you know what? I'll just strip this all out and paste in like so. And while we're at it, let's just check to see what's been generated and see if it needs any improvement. Okay, controller first. Here you see that we now have a post controller, and if we look at the methods that are available, well, yes, that looks like a regular resource controller. Now we won't be needing show in our admin panel, so we can just safely delete that. And once we've done that, we need to adjust our route as well. Here we need to tell Laravel that we want the resource route except for the show method, like so. Okay, let's go back and have a look at what has been created. Well, here, if we go back to the index method, you see that some boilerplate code has already been generated to fetch all posts from the database, then make a view and pass in those posts to their view. And that's actually very cool. Now we'll have a look at this controller in detail when we start creating our admin panel. For now, it's good to know it's there. Next up is the database folder, and we'll have a look at the migration that's been generated. Okay, well that looks cool. I don't think we need to make any alterations here. Let's have a look at seeds then. Here you see we have a new post table seeder. Let's open that up. And this is why we brought in the faker package as well. You see, Laravel generators assumes that you have access to that package so that you can use it to create your seed. You know what? Let's do that right now. We'll just create 10 test posts. Now, for every post, let's just set up the content, right? First, we need a title. I'll just use the faker class for that, and more precisely the sentence method. Now, this will give us a sentence made of Latin words. Next, we'll need a body, and we'll also use the faker class for that. Let's just set that to real text, which will get us some English text. And while we're at it, let's just specify the number of characters that we want. In this case, 1,000. Now for the user ID, well, that needs to be an integer, and let's just set that to a random number between 1 and 5. And the reason I'm choosing 1 and 5 here is that I'll create 5 dummy users later on. Cool, I think that's all for our post table seeder. Okay, now let's not forget to add this post table seeder class to our database seeder. Alright, all we need to do is uncomment this and paste our name in like so. Okay, then it's off to the models directory. And as you can see, we have a post model here right now. That post extends eloquent. Here we have some rules that we can set our validation rules in. And you know what? Let's just do that right now. Well, we have a title, and I think it should be required, so that's cool. But it would be nice to set a character constraint as well. Let's just say this needs to be a length between 3 and 255 characters, shall we? Let's just copy this line and set some rules for our body as well. I think that just needs to be required. And then the third rule that we'll need to specify is user_ID, and that of course will need to be an integer. Then here's our fillable array to protect us against mass assignment vulnerabilities. Let's just add title, body, and user ID to this. And now these 3 fields can be mass assigned. Finally, let's have a look at our views. Here you see that the generator has created a directory called posts, and then inside of 4 views create, edit, index, and show. And all that's in there now is some placeholder code, but that'll be okay for this moment. Okay, so that's all for posts. Let's go back to the terminal and generate some code for users. Okay, so let's set up a migration for our users. I'll just do PHP artisan, generate code and migration, and the name for that migration will be create_users_table. Now we'll need some fields as well. Of course, we'll need an email, and that will be a string, and it will have to be unique. And then we'll also need a password, and that will be a string with a constraint of 60. I would like to have a name as well, so let's do name, and that will be of the type string. And then now there's a special field that we need to create as well. If you ever want to use Laravel authentication, which we will, then you'll need a field called remember_token. It will be of the type string, and it'll have to be constrained of 100 characters. Also, it has to be nullable, meaning that it can be null. Cool, so let's run this generator first. And while we're at it, let's also generate a seeder for users. So PHP artisan generate seed, and we'll just name that users. Right, so let's open them up and check them out. Here's our migration, and you know what? That looks fine to me. And then here's our seed. Once again, we're setting a new faker here. Let's just create 5 users. So each user will need an email, and we'll use the faker email method to generate that. Then a name, so we'll use faker name. Okay, and then they'll need a password as well. I'm just going to pick a very insecure password, sorry for that. ++, and I'll just run it through #make. Okay, and then let's just copy our seeder class name and add it to our database seeder. Alright, like so. Okay, and that's all the setup we need. Let's go back to the terminal and run PHP artisan migrate and make sure to pass in the seed flag. And look at that, let's run both of our migrations and both of our seeders. Let's just check them in SQL Pro. Well, here we have our migrations table. Here we have our post table with our posts, looking good. We have user IDs as well here. And then last but not least, here's our users table with the IDs, emails, passwords and names. Cool, well, so that's it for preparation. In the next video, we'll set up our admin panel post resource controller. I'll see you there.